Tony and I have the highest level mastermind that I think exists. And there's a gentleman in there named John Cheplack. And John is a guy that's a year older than me. He's buff. He's in really good shape. Awesome dude. And always just brings this energy of like love and compassion and reciprocity. Anybody ever have a friend? I wish this friend for you. He's a new friend. I've only known him for maybe a year and a half now, right? And each time I see him, we get closer and closer. I learn more about this guy. Anybody have someone in life that does so much for you, you almost feel bad? And if you don't, I hope that for you. I wish that for you, right? Like, hey, what can I do? What can I do? This guy has just always been there, and I didn't understand his story. So one day, the last time I was with him, I sat down with him like, tell me your story. How are you here? What are you doing? I find out he's got an 8-figure coaching business. I'm like, wow, this guy's in great shape. He's got a beautiful wife. His children are gorgeous. I just saw online he bought this beautiful farm. And I mean, it just looks like he's got life dialed. And he shares with me that when he decided to go in this business, he had let his beliefs, without realizing, tell him that he was not worthy, that no one would listen to him, that he wasn't good enough. But he had a conflicting story of, I need to do more. I want to change the legacy of my family. I want to change the bloodline of my family and make it different. So kind of conflicting views, right? I want to change the destiny of generations below me, but simultaneously, I don't think I'm good enough. Who would listen to me? He was a real estate agent, did very well. Then he was teaching other real estate agents how to do better, right? So to compound this, he had been drinking most of his life. And he self-proclaimed alcoholic. And he said he was just drinking because he wasn't worthy. And when things didn't work, it made him drink more. So he started to go in this business. He goes, I know what I'll do. I'll do free events and just show people my value. And he did several free events and hardly anybody showed up. So what does that do? It just kind of self-prove. He said, I get done with the free event. No one shows up. Might as well go drink because I'm not worthy, right? He said, then someone said to me, it's because they're free. Nobody shows up when free. Charge money. So he said, I charged a little bit of money, thought I'd have 100 people show up, and 14 people showed up to the first one, 12 people to the second one, and 17 people showed up to the third event. He said, at the third event, I looked at my friend who was helping me and said, I suck. This isn't me. I'm done. It's over. I'm out. Little did he know that in those 17 people, in fact, he sent the picture. Can you pull that picture up? He sent it to me this morning. I texted him, I'm like, this is the picture. He had 17 people in the room. He thought he was going to get 100. He got a smaller room. He changed it around. He did his best. He got done and said, I'm out. Little did he know that in those 17 people, I don't know which one it was. You could take that down. In those 17 people was a gentleman who was the CEO of a really huge, like one of the second or third largest realtor agencies in the world. And about 4 days later, John said this guy reached out and said, hey, I see a lot in you. That was an amazing training. It was so good. I would really love if you could come to our office. He said the biggest office he's ever been to, and train all of our staff. I'll hire you for 5 or 6 different trainings. The reason I'm sharing this story is because something snapped in him. Because someone saw value in him. Someone said, you are good. And he said, I don't know what the moment was or why it was so loud to me at that time in history. But it just snapped and said, maybe I am. And he goes, and then I started recognizing all the crap I was telling myself. You're not good enough. You always fail. Your parents said you were going to be this way. You're an alcoholic. You're a loser. And all of a sudden I just switched and said, one of the biggest CEOs in the country thinks I'm special. Maybe I am. He got himself sober. He was broke by then, went all in on this business, and started month after month growing this with a new level of confidence, with a new level of stamina. And here's the cool part. Can you pull up that next picture? He sent me this morning. He did an event a couple weeks ago with 5,000 people, right? With 5,000 people. Go to that next slide, if you could. And I got the chance to work with him. He bought a farm. That's his beautiful family. It's just such an incredible story. I'm jealous. He bought a farm with horses. It's so cool. And the reason I share that story is because nothing changed. He still had his past. He still had his issues. He still, at the time, had a drinking problem. He was still the same man. He had still gone through, separation or divorce in his life and all the things in the past, like all the things that happened had already happened. What shifted was his belief. What shifted was his focus. He didn't have a transformation. It wasn't, he didn't have someone come down and shift everything. He's like, he just decided. And for him, it was someone to say, I believe in you. And maybe that was the first time he had ever heard that from someone. So I don't know what you need. But I hope you hear this. I believe in you. Tony believes in you. I would take whatever it takes to borrow someone else's confidence. Thanks you, Joanna. Borrow someone else's confidence. Borrow the confidence you have from something else you did in your life and bring it into now, because that little shift shifted his life. Literally, he said, I was ready to pack it in. Maybe it is God. Maybe if you believe in a higher power, gave him this little whisper and just invoked a whole new version of who he was. So I can't wait to hear your story. Whose story am I going to be reading next year when I'm here?